Welcome to the Tunisia Security Update Podcast. The Tunisia Security Update-Blog is a good source for expats living in Tunisia who are looking for relevant and practical security information. This podcast was recorded on August 1st, 2012. I am your host, David Santiago, living in Tunis for over 5 years with a passion for security and the expat lifestyle. The purpose of the podcast is to give expats a brief and informative update of the security situation in Tunisia through a triple-layer format. Our aim is to provide some practical analysis, awareness, and advice. So let's start with our first segment, analysis. The Associated Press has reported that Tunisia is extending a state of emergency. It is the 7th time the measure has been extended since January 2011. The positive news is that this time it was only extended for 1 month. Pretty significant. So, this is good news. The decision was taken following a noticeable improvement of the overall security situation in Tunisia. And we will have to agree with this. So, what to make of this 1 month extension? Well, I took a nice drive yesterday all throughout Carthage, La Marsa, Gamarth, and that area, and things looked very calm and normal. The only real threat, as far as I could see, was the heat, which is pretty intense. However, that being said, us veteran expats, we know that things can change pretty rapidly here. And an article ran by the Associated Press, written by Bouza bin Bouza, makes a good point. He does a good job of describing the various challenges facing this new democracy. He talks about the unexpected threat that has emerged, namely the increasing boldness of ultra-conservative Muslims known loosely as Salafis, who want to turn, as he says, this North African country of 10 million into a strict Islamic state. When you talk to well-informed Tunisians, they will tell you that more than a static label, Salafists represent a wild card that is usually played by those who use the problem-reaction-solution model. So every time there's this wave of Salafist violence, you can be assured that there is also a political/power agenda at play. This presents a challenge for expats as things can change quickly and for no apparent reason. We will definitely have to be more aware of subtle changes and keep each other more updated as we get ready for two important events, namely the release of the Constitution, which is scheduled for October 23rd of this year, and the new elections scheduled for March 20th, 2013. We will see the situation change as we approach these dates, and we will experience highs and lows in between. The key will be to stay updated and always ahead of this curve. In other words, the change curve. So, this leads us to our final segment, expat awareness. Well, Ramadan is almost halfway done, and as expats, we should be aware that driving accidents tend to increase around this time period. Additionally, for those who are returning back to Tunis during this period, you should note that there has been a little bit of controversy with regards to cafes and eating areas being open during the fasting hours. Although no violent incident has been reported, there are reports of places being persuaded to close, and the Tunisian media has run a few pieces discussing the issue, so there is some attention on it. That being said, it's always recommended to follow the when in Rome principle and avoid eating in public areas. Basically, if you're going to eat out, choose your spot wisely. A contact on Twitter gave me some good information and advised me that the LAC 2 is a good and safe place to visit during the fasting hour. Speaking of receiving good information on Twitter, I have to say that the real strength of these social media outlets, Facebook and Twitter and the blog itself, is your participation and feedback. I appreciate very much the good emails I'm receiving and the good information. This is a good example with the fasting hours and where to eat and so forth. I received some real good information on Twitter. I was able to pass it on to a lot of other expats who maybe didn't know the answer or didn't know where to turn to. So always good to pass on good information to other expats out there. Well, there you have it. You are updated with the security situation in Tunisia in under 5 minutes. This concludes this installment of the Tunisia Security Update podcast. I appreciate your time. Feel free to send us your feedback, and remember that we can share good information with the wider expat community through our blog at www.tunisiasecurityupdate.com, or via Twitter at David Security. We also have a Facebook page, which you can easily find, Tunisia Security Update. So you can easily find that on Facebook. Well, thank you for listening. Appreciate your time. And remember, be safe and stay cool out there.